Hey, welcome to the Reddit time. I hope you are having a good day and let's hop into this thread with what's an unfun fact. The Reddit lists 8 nuclear weapons known to be missing. How the hell do you lose a nuke? Well, a lot of them were put on boats and subs. Then the subs boats sink and the nukes are still down there, active. Seeing how much of a shit show 2020 has been, at least one will detonate this year. When preparing a body for an open casket, the mortician will sew the person's jaw shut to keep their mouth from flopping open and place special contact lenses on the eyes lined with hooks, both to keep the eyelid from snapping open due to shrinking tissues and to give the eye a bit more natural bulge as the eye tends to sink into the socket after death. My father is a mortician who now works for university, but during his time as a funeral director, he embalmed some brothers who were in a terrible accident. This was a few years ago when I was in high school. They had been run over by a car exposing their skulls. The family wanted an open casket, so my dad had to make them look as presentable as he could. He said that he had to fill the skulls with something hard because, yeah, he managed to make them look good and the family was happy. It's an art. A lot of it involves makeup and craftsmanship to make someone look like they're sleeping, so as not to freak out the family. It's definitely not a profession for the faint of heart. Suicide bombers are a lot easier to identify post-mortem than you'd expect. This is because the blast from the suicide belt hits the base of the head in such a way that the head pops off like a cork. Investigators therefore have a relatively intact head to ID that brain-eating amoebas exist at all, and is also pretty commonly found in freshwater ponds and lakes. Apparently only 4 people have survived getting it in the last 50 years. I have a friend that got LASIK eye surgery and then, about 2 months after, she started getting eye pain and was losing her vision. Somehow, a flesh-eating amoeba got into her eye via the eye flap left over from the surgery and started eating her cornea. She was in serious pain and eventually lost all sight. Seems like they managed to kill off the amoeba and then she got a cornea transplant. Shit was crazy. I got LASIK eye surgery. One of the things they told us to do is not go swimming after surgery until a few months. Now I know why. Another thing you shouldn't do is parachuting. At one point, the army was doing a lot of LASIK eye surgery, and then when the airborne guys would jump out of planes, the wind would tear the flap back open. Tapeworms can grow up to 32 feet inside of you, and they eat half of what you eat. People used to consume them on purpose to lose weight. Female ducks get raped so frequently that they have a second decoy vagina that they can offer to intruders so they don't get pregnant by the duck they don't want to get pregnant by. I don't know why I upvoted. Maybe because I'm upset and don't know what else to do. There is a whale called 52 Blue that only signs at that frequency, meaning it can't communicate with other whales. It is nicknamed the loneliest whale on the planet. My heart is broken. Good night, Reddit. There is a theory that the whale is either deaf or a hybrid species of 2 different kinds of whale, making a sound that is in between those two. People who handle cockroaches develop allergies to them. This usually prevents them from drinking pre-ground coffee because of the cockroaches that get grounded in with the large batches. This is a viscerally unfun fact. There are more slaves today than any time in history. Wait, really? It occurs in particularly every country, even possibly in your town. Only 1 in every 1,000 sea turtles born ever make it to adulthood. To add to this, saving baby turtles at the beach does less, almost nothing, for conservation compared to protecting adult turtles in the ocean. Another turtle didn't make it to the water. You have a higher chance of dying on the way to get a lottery ticket than actually winning. Whales don't die of old age. Eventually they just don't have the strength to resurface and slowly drown. Maybe if they didn't ejaculate 40 gallons at a time, they could live longer. In 2014, the CDC once found a smallpox sample that they had lost and didn't even know it. It was just laying around in some random storeroom. This week in Storage Wars. Scuba divers can experience a sudden change in pressure when swimming near pipes and will get sucked inside, doesn't matter the size of the hole. It's called Delta P. Worst part? Someone else usually has to go inside the pipe to remove the body. The video of the crab being sucked into the tiny crack in the pipe comes to mind when I read this. The female tarantula hook wasp stings the tarantula between the legs, paralyzes it, then drags the prey to a specially prepared burrow where a single leg is laid on the spider's abdomen and the entrance is covered. Sex of the larvae is determined by fertilization. Fertilized eggs produce females, while unfertilized eggs produce males. When the wasp larva hatches, it creates a small hole in the spider's abdomen, then enters and feeds voraciously, avoiding vital organs for as long as possible to keep the spider alive. alive. After several weeks, the larva pupates. Finally, the wasp becomes an adult and emerges from the spider's abdomen to continue the life cycle. Female tarantula hawk wasp. That's it. My 4 biggest fears put in the same lane. Touching an AM radio broadcast tower will kill you. And not only will it kill you, but it will hurt the entire time you are dying. Number 1. The voltage is so high that your hands would instantly clamp to whatever charged part of the tower you touched. Then, because it's oscillating at a frequency your cells can't feel, you wouldn't be able to feel yourself being electrocuted until it starts to hit your body from the current. And you'd also be able to hear your body acting as a speaker, where you'd literally be able to hear whatever was on that particular station as you die. Deep sea octopus babies take 5+ years to hatch, while mama octopus never leaves the nest to feed and dies when the babies hatch. She doesn't eat for 5+ years. Fatal familial insomnia exists. It's a rare, incurable prionic brain disease that progressively destroys your brain's ability to sleep. Eventually, you stop sleeping altogether, go insane, have seizures, and die. Prions are scary, no cure, treatment, and mostly deadly. But they are rare at least. If they became somehow common like a rhinovirus, humans would almost be wiped out. Don't give 2020 any more ideas. Anyone can have a brain aneurysm at any age, no matter your health situation. All too aware of this one, unfortunately. My aunt had one completely randomly about 10 years ago. She had no prior health problems, wasn't feeling unwell, nothing. It just suddenly happened. She survived, but it's left her very mentally damaged and has to live in a support place indefinitely now. When a male bee drone ejaculates, its testicles explode and the drone dies. It is literally a one-shot wonder. This is also a drone bee's only job. The males are literally slaves only used for breeding, and when autumn comes and the hive hibernates, all the drones are forced out of the hive to die in the cold. Dolphins in captivity usually commit suicide by suffocating themselves. Famous example, Flipper. It gets worse. They do this by consciously deciding to not breathe until they die. It's less pressing a pillow against your own face and more holding your breath so hard it kills you, and you're awake and aware the entire time. They get so bored and desperate they would rather die than live as an entertainment slave. In my opinion, it is the best example of a non-human entity demonstrating free will. When your skin becomes red from spending too much time under the sunlight, it's basically because your skin cells are committing suicide to avoid becoming cancerous. So when you get cancer, it's because that one stupid fucking skin cell was too much of a pussy to kill itself. Well, yes, but actually no. The DNA coding of the cell that takes it through mitosis gets interrupted or becomes defective, so it wants to kill itself, it just can't. Like me in the 7th grade. Sea otters kill and rape baby seals, not always in that order. Seagulls are also known to eat baby seals' eyeballs. You may have heard that South Koreans have a superstition called fan death, where if you keep a fan on too long, it will kill you. The history of its origins is much darker. When people committed suicide and the coroner had to determine cause of death, they would say it was death by fan. This is to save the face of the family and not cause them shame. It eventually became a superstition and one that Westerners find funny. When the gas chambers were first assembled and experimented with at the Auschwitz concentration camp, the SS soldiers that oversaw the process found that the people inside would start screaming as soon as the gas agent was dropped in. The screaming was so loud that it could be heard through the thick walls of the building, and the victims would continue screaming over the course of 20 minutes until it gradually faded to nothing. The screaming disturbed the soldiers, believe it or not, so they tried to think of a way to drown out the noise so they didn't have to hear it. Their idea was to get 2 motorcycles and drive the engines as loudly as they could at the same time during those 20 minutes. It didn't work. The Zodiac killer could have been caught numerous times if not for San Francisco police dispatch incompetence. Many serial killers flew under the radar because of police incompetence. Dahmer did, and maybe Bundy too. Allegedly, there are 50 active serial killers at any given time in the US. The youngest person to ever give birth was a Peruvian girl, Lina Medina, a Quechua Indian who gave birth to a child in 1939 at age 5. She had precocious puberty and had her first period at age 8 months. She may have been raped at a debauched indigenous religious festival where people often brought small people and rapes were known to occur. The man who raped her was never found and she was silent about how she got pregnant. The delivery was by cesarean as vaginal delivery was deemed impossible. Her son was told that he was her little brother, and she also treated him in this manner. Obviously, she was an incompetent parent, preferring to play with dolls rather than tend to the baby, but that's to be expected. The case is well documented in medical journals, including photos of her pregnant body. It is also in the Guinness Book. She later married, had another son, went to work for the physician who delivered her, and lived a quite normal life. The son was healthy but died young at age 40. She and her family both refused all requests to speak of the case, including offers of significant sums of money. As of 2008, she was still alive at age 75 and living in a slum in Lima, Peru. If she is still alive, she would be 87 years old. Thank you for watching this video. I appreciate you sharing your valuable time with me today. I find all these facts terrible and really sad. You can write in the comments any other sad fact, but please just not too sad. It was difficult for me to read these stories. Also subscribe to my channel, give me big thumbs up, and see you in the next video.